Hello, it's Wednesday's Talking Reds. It's John Gibbons, and I'm here with my boy Josh Sexton, who I've not seen since the final. The last time I saw you was in the stadium. We were celebrating, a lot of tears, mostly yours, and that celebration. And then you got off on a bus. I obviously went and did something else. But lovely to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. To be honest, it's good to be off that bus now. I think it's really good to a point. And then after that point, it's really quite horrible. So yeah. I think I got to that point quite early, to be honest.
No, I mean, I went out on the bus and we had a really good time, and obviously an amazing time on there. But I know what you mean. It gets to the point where I'd like this to not be this now, and there's literally nothing you can do.
It's funny, we were recording the Anfield podcast on there, and honestly, I just woke up in the morning, sort of dragged myself into the shower and threw a cap on. And then I seen all the comments on the YouTube, people just like, "Oh, Josh looks rough," and I was like, "Yeah, nice one."
You get on the bus for 5 days, mate. See how sound you look. But I mean, obviously the first time, you've been back in the studio since then. Amazing weekend, amazing experience. The whole day on Saturday will never be forgotten, and it is just starting to sink in now that Liverpool are European champions.
Yeah, it was honestly waking up in my bed yesterday and sort of opening my blinds and being able to look out on Liverpool, the city, and the city that is the home of the European champions. Honestly, when we were in France, we were in La Rochelle on the way home. We were watching all the videos of the parade and stuff, and sort of half wishing you were there, but half loving the fact that we'd been on this bus journey and that we were in lovely La Rochelle and things like that. But that was the point where it started to sink in for me, when you see all the people who didn't travel to Madrid getting to enjoy their sort of half of it, and you see all the players on their homecoming and just the absolute scenes that it looked like. That was when it really started to sink in for me. But yeah, waking up yesterday in the home of the European champions was something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny on the bus as well, because things don't wait for you. And so last year on the way back, obviously Liverpool signed Fabinho, which was a bit mad on the way back from Kiev. This year, you're not even back in Liverpool and we're releasing players already. I don't know whether you were meant to bring them home, I forgot. And poor Sturridge and Moreno were just still in Madrid going, "Oh, do we not play for Liverpool anymore?" But they don't. They've gone out on a high, haven't they? I'm sure they half expected it. I'm sure that if, we were announcing it now, but I'm sure that they knew that the contracts weren't being renewed. They went out on a high, didn't they? Both of them now have a European Cup winners medal to say, "I went to Liverpool, it was good fun, I had some good times, and I've got this."
Yeah, it's funny when you mention the bus thing, because I know quite regularly when we stop at service stations, so if you say, "Make sure everyone's got your buddy," I'm worried for whoever's buddy Alberto Moreno was, to be honest. Feels like a Sean Walsh job to me. No, but it's
Sheds and Moreno.
It sort of has been coming, like you say, though, to be fair. I think we've all known that the two players whose positions at the club were sort of under threat, if you want to call it that, or whose Liverpool careers you felt were coming to an end, were Daniel Sturridge and Alberto Moreno, at the very least, in terms of their contracts expiring and stuff. But it's really sad when it sort of gets confirmed, because you come down off the high of winning a European Cup, and you're just thinking how much you love these lads and how much you want them all to stay together forever, and then suddenly you lose two people who are obviously a massive part of the squad. And I know some people will comment on their actual contributions on the footballing side of things this year, and I sort of don't really doubt Daniel Sturridge's, but obviously Alberto Moreno's unfortunate in terms of what happened to him last season, getting his injury at a time when Andy Robertson was just starting to settle in, and then just so happened to become the best left back in the world.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of personalities, they're both massive in the dressing room. I think you see that in terms of the tributes that have been paid to them by their teammates since then, and I think they're two people who will be massively missed at Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, and for Sturridge, you need to remember, the player we had for that first kind of 18 months or kind of whatever it was, really. Obviously, injuries have kind of caught up with him, but we signed him when, it felt like his last big chance at a club. I was laughing and saying, what's the opposite of a fanfare? I remember Steven Gerrard coming out first day and going, well, he's got to prove himself now, and you're oh, nice one, captain, you know what I mean? But there was that real kind of almost mistrusting him, really. Apparently Rodgers wasn't sure, and it was only £12 million, but apparently Rodgers had to be talked into it. Obviously, Gerrard, from his comments, didn't sound quite sure, really, but he just came in and looked like a superstar right away, didn't he? In that period from January to the end of the season, where him and Coutinho were starting to get that understanding going, and you thought, we've got a real player here. And then obviously 13-14 season, he's just incredible. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of January signings that are quite weird, to be honest, and Coutinho and Sturridge are two of them sort of early FSG signings signings, the first example of the money ball. You know, I wrote a piece on this yesterday, sort of my very emotional reaction to Daniel Sturridge leaving, and him and Coutinho both arrived for sort of small fees. They were low risk, low value signings, but obviously both had massive potential and you know, probably beyond what we could ever imagine. But I was sort of looking back through Sturridge's start at sort of life at Liverpool, and he scores against Mansfield on his debut, and then he scores against United coming off the bench on his league debut, and he just properly hits the ground running. And I always look back on that second half of 12-13 as a sort of dress rehearsal to what happens in 13-14, and Daniel Sturridge is such a massive part of that end of that season, and then obviously a huge part of 13-14 as well. And it was always my issue with 13-14 is when people say, oh, it's just the Luis Suarez season. Luis Suarez was the one who dragged us through it, because I know they're doing that to do down what Brendan Rodgers did, but I think it does down what, you know, Raheem Sterling did, what Philip Coutinho did, what Steven Gerrard did, and also massively what Daniel Sturridge did, because he was our second top goal scorer that season. And I've seen a few people yesterday saying if he didn't get injured, he could have been right up there with, you know, with Torres's and stuff like that. And I don't think that's unfair, to be honest, because he was breaking records for, you know, fastest to 50 goals. I think it was fastest to a certain amount of goals in terms of time in a Liverpool shirt, and I think he could have been a massive player for Liverpool. I still think he's given us some massive moments, but his potential was boundless, and I think maybe, you know, there was just a bit too much physical pressure on him from the club in the end after Suarez left, and then the injuries started kicking, and it's a bit of a shame, but also I think he can look back on it with a Champions League winners medal and with some absolutely amazing moments to boot as well.
Goes out on a high Champions League medal and DJing with me. I mean,
I was wondering when you were going to throw that in. I wasn't going to mention it, Charlie.
And what a last evening. So, you know, I mean, if his next career move's going to be interesting, but I reckon, you know, if he fancies being a DJ duo, I think we could make a good go of it. I beat the calls. So just have a think about it. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about a really interesting story that Melissa Reddy's done about Jürgen Klopp's future. But in the meantime, here's a message from our friends at Tokyo Time. Tokyo Time are partnering us throughout this season, sponsoring Talking Reds, and we're delighted they are doing so. They are a premium headwear company based here in Liverpool but represented throughout the world. Here's a really cool video that made the shows a little bit more about what they're about. They're supporting us this season, so make sure you support them. Perfect. Nice one for Tokyo Time there. Been supporting us all season and we really appreciate it. So on to this article that Melissa's done, sort of a bit out of nowhere really, Josh, about Jürgen Klopp and his future. There's obviously been a lot of talk about a new contract. Obviously Bayern Munich have been going hot and heavy as well, like not even playing it cool at all, like you in a nightclub. Just going really strong and just saying, yeah, get to ours basically. And but Melissa's thrown this little sort of curveball in where she suggested that at the end of his contract, so 2022, he might want a bit of a break, he might want a bit of a sabbatical from football. Obviously, the idea was to have a bit of a longer break between Dortmund and Liverpool. It didn't quite happen because Liverpool came calling. He saw this as a too good opportunity. So maybe the idea that he has a year out, refreshes his batteries, and then who knows what. It sort of makes sense, but it did sort of make me start having to contemplate life without Jürgen. Yeah,
it's sort of, you don't really want to think about it at the moment, do you? Particularly after just winning this trophy. The hope is that he can go on and sort of build a dynasty at Liverpool, but that could be cut short. And it's interesting for me because I think Jürgen Klopp as a person is absolutely fascinating. You know, it's been funny seeing everyone's reaction to us winning the Champions League in the last few days, because he sort of almost got this label as chief motivator, didn't he? And not really much else. And now he's got that trophy to his name. You think that the sort of opportunities are endless. And you saw this story going around about us playing Benfica could be as well in that little friendly, because they're set up similar to Tottenham, and I think it shows the sort of genius of the man behind this sort of big smile. But there is a big smile there, and there's a big character there as well, and he seems like a football manager who really enjoys life. And I think there's a few football managers who don't so much enjoy life if they're not a football manager. Everything for them is about being a football manager, whereas I think for Jürgen Klopp, he loves just being on a beach in Marbella with a Budweiser and a ciggy and stuff like that. He absolutely loves that part of his life, I think, and I think it's no mistake that he's taking the players to Marbella constantly, because he'll love a little beach club in the day at times. But I think he's someone who wants to live his life, and he knows that life's short and nothing's guaranteed. And I can sort of see why, if in a few years' time he's won a few trophies to Liverpool, he'd want to hand over the sort of mantle to someone. And Steven Gerrard might be kicking around by then. So who knows?
Yeah, give Steven Gerrard a little bit of time to kind of, to get his experience up again. And it might just be a case he does a gap year and comes back. That'd be nice. Maybe you could just do it for a year. Or that fellow who looks like him.
Yeah, little Andreas Kornmeier.
Is that his name? Yeah. Just get Mini Klopp to do it for a year, and then bring him back in. But no, it is a very interesting article from Mel, so do have a look at that. Mel's also done a really good long read on Jordan Henderson and why it's amazing, kind of his story and how we're happy for all of them, including ourselves, but especially for Jordan. Them scenes with his dad, I didn't see them till I got back. Just absolutely incredible, and just you are made up for Jordan, aren't you? Yeah,
absolutely. He's obviously had a sort of tough time with his dad going through the cancer and everything. I remember reading that interview where he'd sort of revealed the struggle he'd gone through and how his dad had not told him because he didn't really want to sort of take his mind off the football and things. And I think a lot of people have questioned Jordan Henderson's leadership qualities down the years, and he sort of goes into why he is the person he is in that. And he says, I think his dad was a police officer sort of in a past life and things like that, but it was really interesting reading into all that. And I think that Henderson throughout this Champions League run, throughout last year's Champions League run as well, and then obviously getting to lift the trophy in this final was testament to him, how he's bounced back, and it was really lovely to see. It was very emotional for me because obviously I wasn't there with my dad in Madrid, and all I sort of wanted to do at the final whistle was give him a hug. So being able to watch Jordan Henderson do it live just made more tears come, as you'd already seen. The majority of my tears are already gone, and I was so dehydrated anyway. But I managed to find a little reserve there for Jordan Henderson.
No, fantastic stuff. So Mel's been smashing it this week. Do have a little look at what she's been doing, but obviously loads of great writing, not least on the Anfield website, of course. But just finally, part of the celebration, we're having a huge sale of merch at the moment on the Anfield website. So if you go to theanfieldapp.com/shop, you'll be directed. We're throwing money off absolutely everything. So stuff like this Jürgen top that you can wear till at least 2022.
Nice that, John.
It is good. It is, mate. Yeah. So money off everything on there. So if you want some gear to wind up the Evertonians or Manx that over the summer, or if you work down in London or wherever, I'm sure you work with other fans that you just want to remind them of who's European champions. Apologies for that, Ash. Then get on the anfieldapp.com/shop and money off absolutely everything on there. But I think that is everything I need to mention.
I think so, yeah.
Josh thinks so as well. Up the European champion Reds.